I think that's just a broad differentiator that we need to think about holistically across all of our interactions, regardless of duration. And it is something we try and capture when we report back to the clients how our relationship is going. We report back not just in numbers of interactions, but in quality and value. And we have different ways of doing that today, but I think that's probably worth some further thought.
So you rate things from 1 to 10, is that, or 1 to 5, or what's the rating scale?
Well, we have different rating scales. We have a standard feedback system for our experts after the calls, and then we also have clients deliver us feedback on the overall engagement, right? Sure. Because they may speak to multiple experts. So we have, almost like a net promoter score system.
Okay, and you drill down on the higher sales and try to, and the reason I'm saying that is if you have the scale from 1 to 10 and you get a number of 10, is that a 10 or is it a 20 or a 50 or a 100?
A good question.
And if you get that from folks saying, wow, this really was an amazing thing, that's probably worth spending time on to highlight to the client.
Yes. And we do. Okay. When we go to do client discussions, we spend quite a bit of time on those statements and those kind of value stories, if you will.
What is your cost to service these shorter calls?
Well, that's an interesting question because
do you have a system to scale this?
I will be honest.
As a result of the change, yeah.
I think this is an interesting question because on it depends on the project. So, for example, if we already have 1,000 cardiologists and you just want to speak to 20, the cost of the 18th is not that different than the cost of the 9th. However, if you want to speak to 20, Japanese uranium mining experts, actually finding the 20th might be more expensive than finding the 5th. So our cost kind of varies with complexity of the effort of the project.
And maybe you have to introduce that granularity in your pricing and also in your offering. What do you offer these discounts or these 30 minutes for?
Right.
Because if it's complex and that's not necessarily a business you want to go into.
Yeah.
So I think you need to define a really good way of assessing where you have economies of scale and where the cost of servicing is actually, increasing linearly or potentially exponentially with the number of experts. If you were to move to everything being 30 minutes, do you have a good idea of what it would mean in terms of IT systems and restructuring of your workforce? Are you thinking through that?
Let me put it this way. No, we're not thinking through that because I don't think we would ever move wholesale in that direction for some of the reasons, reasons I mentioned before. In other words, we have a lot of experts and doctors and high-value experts who are not going to ever do a call for 30 minutes only. But we know we have the technical ability to enable a 30-minute priced project. We can do that technically.
And can you do it technically to keep the same margin but it's just lower revenue?
It depends, again, on the complexity of the project.
Okay. No, I'm just saying, I think